Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel, Everyday Grace. Today I wanted to do a sit down video with y'all and talk about some things that have been going on in my life. Something that I've been wanting to tell y'all and share with y'all, but it hasn't been the right time for me to actually share it. But now it is, so I'm able to. I've been gone for a minute because, first of all, I've been working crazy amount of hours. But not only that, my camera broke. My old camera that was really cheap. I got it for like $100 at Walmart, and it went through everything with me. I dragged that sucker up under my house. I left it out in the rain one time. All the crazy stuff, but it made it that far. I was hoping not to replace it until my birthday in July, but here we are with a brand new camera, and you'll probably tell the quality is so much better. I actually went ahead and spent the money on a good camera, and I am so happy that I did because it looks so good. Here y'all could probably see me. You probably think I look crazy now because you can actually see some of my features. It's not all blurry. But I wanted to do a sit down video with y'all and talk about some things that have been going on in my life. I've hinted around in other videos about something that I wanted to tell y'all, but it just wasn't the right time. And now I feel like I can tell y'all and it'd be safe for me, if that makes sense. It probably doesn't, but that's okay. I'm moving. I want to kind of back up and explain what all that entails and what all that means. It's a long story with everything that's happened, and I'll try to explain it the best I can with y'all without causing any drama, because there are sensitive subjects in here and people believe different things, if that makes sense. They have their different opinions, and I want to explain, why I'm moving, all the things that, we deal with behind the scenes. Obviously, everybody has their own life. You're not going to see everything on camera. It's just not reality. So, my grandmother owns 50 acres. And her house is right here, my dad's house is right here, and my house is right here on the road frontage. And my dad lived obviously in the middle of us, and he raised us here. We've lived here our whole lives. And whenever my grandmother was going to pass away, she was going to split it between her two kids, my dad, living kids, my dad and my aunt. My aunt would get my grandmother's house and a little bit of acreage. My dad would get his house plus where my house sits and all the acreage in the back. Well, as y'all know, my dad passed away last year in July. I'm not quite ready to talk about how he passed away. That'll have to be a video all on its own because it is so much to comprehend. It's so much. It's too much for me to break down right now. I'm already going to be kind of, I might cry in this video, so forgive me for that. I'm sorry. But my dad passed away last July, and that flipped my world. I was very close with my dad, extremely close. He was the one that raised me and my sisters. Him and my mom got a divorce whenever I was super young, and she wasn't really around a lot. I have a relationship with her now. My dad raised me, and that's that. He had primary custody of us, and so whenever he passed, of course, I was in shambles, and it has been a long and hard road for me. But whenever he passed away, that obviously changed some things because my grandmother is still living, and my dad's no longer here to inherit the land. The original plan was, like I said, for my grandmother to pass down her land to my dad and my aunt. And then my dad had told me and my sisters, whenever he passes away, the land would go to me, and he would split his house, his tools, because he had a lot of tools, y'all, and his vehicles, because he has 4 daughters to split between. but I was supposed to get the land. It's a really sensitive subject for me to talk about, so you're going to have to bear with me. I might not make a lot of sense. I'm going to try to be as clear and direct as I can. So with him being gone, my dad's house, my sister was living in it, which is right next door to me. I can literally, I'm looking at it right now. And she lived in it, and I lived next door still. And I didn't know what was going to happen. Honestly, y'all, I knew it wasn't going to end well for us. So I went down one day after my dad had passed, and I went to talk to my grandmother and my aunt. My grandmother is 90 years old, and she has dementia now. And I'm not trying to cause any drama, but this is just what it is. I tried to talk to them and see what was going to happen with the land, and they pretty much, my grandmother didn't, but my aunt pretty much shut me down. She didn't want to talk about it. And I had tried to bring it up a couple times, because it's not like, I don't want y'all to think that I'm just trying to money grab at this land. That is not it at all. I have lived on this land since before I was born. We've been here on this land since, they've been here since 1976 or 77, I believe. And this is where my dad raised us. In the home that is right next door to me is where I was born and raised. Literally. So it's not about the money for me. It's not about the property. Like, regardless, I tried to talk about it and they shut me down. And at one point, me and my aunt had gotten into it over a couple of things, and pretty much we don't get any piece of the land. We don't get to stay on the land either. And they wouldn't let us buy it. Not even what we're on. It hurts. And it's literally been like something I've been having to deal with internally and grieve. Because at the beginning, whenever my dad first passed, I was like, there's no way I'm going to leave this land. I was just dealing with a lot internally, because it was already a huge change that my dad wasn't here, and then now, not knowing if I was going to have to leave, I was like, there's no way. I'll do whatever I have to do to stay here. I want to die here. I want to raise my kids and die here. But I knew deep in my heart that just wasn't going to be reality for me. I knew what was going to happen. And I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say, oh, I'm perfectly fine with it. I don't have any issues. My feelings are super hurt. My grandmother helped raise us too. And she was a big part of my life. And she knew that my dad was going to leave us this land. And that this is where, I wanted to stay. I had made that clear to her so many times. And she was okay with that. But whenever my dad passed away, I can't go on here and say everything, because then it would just cause problems between people, and there's already so many issues. But pretty much to sum it up, I feel like I got the short end of the stick. Me and my sisters. And I feel like we got done wrong. And it hurts, and I'm grieving my childhood, and I'm grieving my dad, and I'm grieving the only place I knew as home. And whenever we go, we're taking our house with us, our mobile home. We're taking it with us, and I'll talk about where we're going to go here in a little bit. But whenever we go, I pray that I don't have to come back here and see it without without my dad's house being here, and without my house being here, and none of us here. And maybe I'll change my mind about that, and things will be different, and I won't feel so betrayed. That's the word that comes to mind, and it's probably not the best word for me to say on the internet. Again, I'm not trying to cause problems. I'm just trying to express how I feel, because it would be not true to myself to come on here and say I'm perfectly okay with everything that's happening. I'm not, and I'm so upset. But I've had months and months to deal with this, and to grieve it, and to figure out what our next steps are. So with that being said, my house is being moved to my sister's land. She owns like 1 acre and she has a double wide over there, and it's whew, y'all, we're gonna be packed. My house is gonna go over there, and my sister, who lives or lived in my dad's house, is going over there too. But unfortunately, my dad's house is just too massive to sit 3 mobile homes. My house, my sister's double wide, who's already over there, and then another home, it's too big. My dad's house is way too big. It's a massive 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, double wide. Like it's built like a home. It weighs like 80,000 pounds. So we have pretty much been forced to sell it. And this is not what we wanted. None of this is what we wanted, and I don't care who says what. This isn't how it was supposed to go. But these are the cards that God has dealt us. So, we're gonna pick pieces of our lives up and move on. I am still grieving, but I've had a lot of conversations with God, and a lot of conversations with my dad, who isn't here anymore. And this is what we're gonna do. I've literally, I probably sound crazy for this, but I've literally asked my dad to forgive us for having to sell his house. And I pray that he does. I don't even know if they're focused on that in heaven, but I feel so much guilt with that, and I've had to talk to my sisters about it. But that's where we were raised, and he worked so hard to buy that house and to pay it off. But there's really nothing else we can do. There was no will written out for my dad. He just had said that whenever Mamaw passes, he wants to set up a will, because he'll inherit the land. He wanted to set up a will to where we would all each have something. And again, I was supposed to get the land, but obviously there was no will for him, and my Mamaw is still alive. So I know some people may say go for a legal standpoint, but that's not something that I want to do. Not only because it's not practical, but because that's just not, it doesn't feel right. I could probably sit here and fight it, but it doesn't feel right. It feels, to think about that, it feels wrong. So we're selling my dad's house. We've already had a buyer come in, and he's made an offer, and we have accepted. It's gonna be 4 weeks till it can be removed from the land, and we're gonna buy my sister a house with that money, because all of us have houses besides her. She was supposed to get my dad's house so she could have a house, but obviously that can't be what it is now. We can't take it to my sister Melena's house. I guess I should start, or Melena's land. I guess I should start saying their names, so I'm not just saying sister. I know who, you'll know who I'm talking about. Vicky is the one that lives in my dad's house. Milena is the one who owns the land and who we're going to. So we're gonna buy Vicky a house, and she's coming out there on the 1 acre of land with Milena and me, and we're gonna all three live on the same land. I cannot express how much gratitude I have towards my older sister. They're all older than me, but Milena. I literally called her and the night that it was pretty much confirmed that we can't stay, I called her and I was crying and I was so upset, and I was just like, can you come over and talk? And she came over and I told her what had transpired and everything, and she was like, you know what, I have always wanted y'all to come live with me, you know, for us to get land together. She said, I thought it was going to be here on our family land with Dad, but if it can't be here, then we'll make it somewhere else. And I just cannot express how grateful I am towards her. She literally came in like Superman and saved the day. Sure, I could have went to a trailer park and lived in a trailer park, and if push came to shove, that's just what I would have to do. And my sister Vicky would have had to figure out something, you know, but Milena stepped in and stepped up, and I really feel like my dad would be so proud of her for taking care, you know, of family, because my dad raised us to take care of each other. And my sister could, so she did. And that takes a strong person, and I am eternally grateful for that. Eventually, we all plan to go in for some bigger land and live together on that land, so like maybe 10-15 acres. We'll go in later on down the road, buy it, and we all move out there. And even my sister Heather, who is not currently on my sister Milena's land, she said she would consider going out there too. Like I said, we're all very close-knit. It's a rarity from what I'm learning in, you know, adulthood and everything, that siblings are like how we are. And I'm so grateful. I keep saying that, but I really am. I wouldn't have been able to make it if it wasn't for my sisters. My sisters. My son was the first thing that saved me. And my husband and my sisters. I got so depressed after my dad died. And again, I plan to make a video and really go in detail and talk about it and everything that happened, but it was really bad. So these next few videos will be pretty much our journey in moving forward and picking up the pieces of our lives and figuring out what to do next. Our house gets moved on the 31st of May. And that's pretty much, you know, that was the plan. Whenever I figured out that I would be going, I would be moving, I wanted to be gone by the anniversary of my dad's death, July 17th. I think my dad would be proud how we're handling things. To be honest, I don't think he would be happy with, you know, everything that transpired with the land and all that. But I think he would be very happy with how we've handled things and how we're sticking together as a family and leaning on each other in time of need. I have a lot of mixed feelings. They're not all bad. It's just a lot of grieving in the middle of it. I'm excited to go, you know, live on my sister's land. But that's not the only feeling I'm having. I'm also feeling scared and nervous. in the unknown. I've never been really comfortable with unknown. I'm very much so a creature of habit, so taking a big step like this is very scary for me, especially since my dad is no longer here to guide me, because he helped me so much. I leaned on him for everything. He was like my best friend. I leaned on him and he leaned on me. And I'm eternally grateful for the time that we had together. I hope this video made some sort of sense and cleared up a couple of things for y'all. It's a lot, and I ramble. I'm not the best on explaining things and keeping track from one end to the other. I'm very much so that type of person. Multiple tracks. But until next time, love on your people, be kind to strangers, and know that you are God's child. I'll see y'all in the next one.